Welcome. Tonight is the 10th and final day of the End Bad Governance nationwide protest, and security operatives mount strategic positions at the Abuja city centre as protesters wrap up their demonstrations. Vice President Kashim Shettima restates President Bola Tinubu's commitment to supporting and empowering more young Nigerians to excel in their chosen vocations. Family of the former commandant of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards, retired Colonel Rabiu Yantondo, expresses concern over his continued detention by the Zamfara police, demands his arraignment in court. And an Israeli airstrike on a school building sheltering displaced Palestinians in the Gaza Strip has killed more than 70 people.
And on Business News tonight, economic think tank and advisory firm Financial Derivatives Company says it expects Nigeria's headline inflation rate to climb higher to 34.26% in July, and fuel supply chain disruption and continued rise in food prices.
And on sports news tonight, Team Nigeria leaves the 2024 Olympics empty-handed after failing to win a medal in Paris with 88 athletes competing in 12 sporting events.
There's heavy security in and around the Abuja city centre as protesters wrap up 10 days of demonstrations against hardship and bad governance in the country. Although no rallies held today, the former country director of Action Aid, Mrs. NLB, led a sit-out session at the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja. The group strongly believes that the 10-day protest was a huge success and hopes that the government will learn its lessons and see the need to always engage with the people.
On Thursday, August 1, thousands of Nigerians embarked on a nationwide protest against hardship and bad governance, calling the government out on issues around poverty, inflation, unemployment, and the removal of fuel subsidy. The protest held across the country, including some major cities in northern Nigeria, such as Kano, Maiduguri, Kaduna, Jos, Minna, and Abuja. Although the protests were relatively peaceful in some places, it was marred by violence, looting, and even death in some parts of the country. In Abuja, protesters and even journalists were tear-gassed as security officials tried to restrict the demonstration to the premises of the Moshood Abiola Stadium. These encounters with security officials compelled many protesters in Abuja to abandon the demonstration by the 5th day of the protest. However, the former country director of Action Aid Nigeria, Mrs. NLB, leads a sit-out session at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. On the final day of the protest, there is heavy security presence in the city's center, and there are no protesters in sight. Organizers of the nationwide protest against hardship and bad governance had promised to hold a 1 million-man rally across the nation to climax the 10-day demonstration against hardship and bad governance. The Moshood Abiola Stadium has the usual security presence, while the NLB-led sit-out session continues on the last day.
They gave it 10 days, and then the 10 days has elapsed. It does not mean that something will not come. If this protest did not happen, is another protest not coming? A protest will continue as long as the government does not, answer.
The protesters also believe that the protest was a huge success.
First of all, the first achievement this protest, before it started, they carried out genuine consultations with different stakeholders, traditional rulers, religious leaders. After they started doing useless propaganda, but it did not work. And for the first time Nigerians presented to them, they thought we are stupid, we do not know what is happening.
Meanwhile, the counter sit-out session held by support groups of the All Progressives Congress did not hold at the presidential campaign headquarters of the party. The organizers had halted the session after day 7 in spite of their promise to continue until the last day.
The governor of Adamawa State, Mr. Umaru Fintiri, believes the demands of the End Bad Governance protesters require speedy action. The governor stated this while addressing a group of protesters at the government house in Yola, the Adamawa State capital. Meanwhile, in Castina, security operatives patrolled major streets of the town on the 10th day of the protest as the state government relaxes the curfew in the state. It's a similar scenario in the Jos metropolis in Plateau State.
It's the last day of the End Bad Governance protest, and this coalition of protesters are on the street. They marched to the Adamawa State Government House to restate their demands.
Tell Mr. President Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it is only the basics when we say we want. It is only the basics. What are the basics we are looking for? It is only the food, education, security, and the rest. But why are they denying our rights? Why?
I'm here presenting our demand to the Governor of Adamawa State. Thank you.
They're received by the Chief of Staff to Governor Umaru Fintiri, who calls for urgent action on the demands of the protesters.
I know that no government, even military government, not to talk about a civilian government, will want to inflict pain on the people. But maybe it is their own understanding of how to help the society. But now that our people have spoken, it is time for government to listen to the concerns of the people. On behalf of the governor, therefore, I want to assure you that your concerns will be presented to Mr. President. Thank you very much, sir.
In Kaduna, the state government is warning against any unlawful demonstration in the state. A statement by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs notes that criminals masquerading as protesters took advantage of the End Bad Governance protest to loot and vandalize public and private property in Kaduna and Zaria metropolis. Normalcy is gradually returning to Jos, the Plateau State capital, as the government relaxes curfew in the Jos-Bukuru metropolis. According to a press statement signed by the Director of Press and Public Affairs, effective from Saturday, August the 10th, 2024, residents are now permitted to carry out their lawful activities between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily. The Katsina state government also reviewed the curfew in the state, restricting movement from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Statement from the secretary to the state government states that the state has recorded improved security, which necessitates the review of the curfew. Meanwhile, security operatives patrol Katsina and its environs as some of the conveners of protests are charged to court.
The family of the former commandant of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards, retired Colonel Rabiu Yantondo, have expressed concern over the continued detention of their father by the police without arraigning him in court. The retired military officer was arrested over the alleged murder of one Lawali Magaji, a political ally of a former federal lawmaker, Mr. Kabiru Marafa. However, the Zamfara State Police Commissioner, Mr. Mohammed Dalijan, told journalists that the case is still under investigation.
These are relatives of former commandants of the Zamfara Community Protection Guards, retired Colonel Rabiu Yandotu, who was arrested by the police on the 3rd of June 2024, following the death of a staff of Yandotu Emirate Council, Mr. Lawali Magaji. Mr. Magaji, who is a political ally of a former federal lawmaker, Mr. Kabiru Marafa, is believed to have died in the custody of the Zamfara Community Protection Guards under the leadership of retired Colonel Yandotu. The family of the retired army officer are worried over his continued detention by the Nigerian police.
Okay, he has been in the custody of the police since the 3rd of July of this year. That's about a month and some days. And he's been alleged to commit some offenses which we are yet to know. But had it been that he has been arraigned, we would have known what he's been alleged to have committed, but we are yet to know what is the allegation against him. There is a provision for that when a person is arrested on allegation of having committed an offense, he is supposed to be arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction within 24 hours of his arrest. If there is a court of competent jurisdiction within 40-kilometer radius from the police station or wherever he was kept in custody.
However, the Zamfara State Police Commissioner provides clarity on the case.
According to them, when he was arrested, their commander, who is Colonel Rabiu Endoto retired, called them to say he was visiting their station. And when he arrived at the station, he asked them to give them the key of the cell where the deceased was kept. And after some minutes, he came out and handed over the key to them. And when they went to check the cell, they discovered that Lawali Magaji died. So he is in detention here on a case of murder. There is nothing that is political in the whole case.
It's been over a month since the arrest of the retired colonel, and the police is hoping to conclude the investigation as soon as possible before taking a decision on its next step.
More security stories now. In Taraba State, troops of 6th Brigade have apprehended 7 suspected terrorists and recovered weapons in separate operations conducted across the state. According to a statement by the Acting Assistant Director of Army Public Relations, on August the 7th, the troops deployed at Kambari swiftly engaged some bandits. One of them was arrested with an AK-47 rifle and 20 rounds of special ammunition, while 118 cows were recovered and handed over to the rightful owners. The troops also received credible information on suspected bandits heading to Mashigi village market to purchase food items. They laid ambush and successfully arrested 4 of them. Following a tip-off from a credible source, troops mobilized to the general area of Magami in Jalingo local government area on August the 9th and caught some suspects gathering and preparing large weapons to be distributed to hoodlums in order to cause chaos within the state. The Kwara State Police Command has arrested 28 suspects for armed robbery, kidnapping, and cult-related activities in the last 3 months. Parading some of the suspects at the police headquarters in Ilorin, the Commissioner of Police said they were arrested across the 3 zones of the state. He added that the last 3 months had been hectic as youths are being arrested for various crimes. He appealed to parents to monitor their movements, especially regarding autism, as most of them have joined that cult-related activities in recent times in the state. The police boss also thanked various community leaders for providing information that led to the arrest of these youths.
The Kwara State Police Command has successfully thwarted an attempted initiation ceremony by a suspected cult group known as Aye in the Agboba area. The operation took place on 14th July 2024 at approximately 06:30 hours following a tip-off received. Acting on credible information, the Kwara State Police Command swiftly mobilized detectives and patrol teams to the scene. The coordinated efforts of our detectives in collaboration with community policing volunteers successfully frustrated the nefarious plans of the cult group. This successful operation highlights the importance of community policing and the vital role that residents play in aiding law enforcement efforts. I urge all residents to continue to provide timely information and support in our collective fight against crime. On 6th August 2024 at about 1400 hours, the divisional headquarters in Babanla received credible intelligence regarding the presence of a notorious gang group of kidnappers in Babanla environs. Upon receiving this information, security operatives in coordination with local vigilante groups conducted a swift and coordinated operation in the area. This led to the successful apprehension of 4 suspects.
In part 2, after the break, Vice President Kashim Shettima restates President Bola Tinubu's commitment to supporting and empowering more Nigerian youths to excel in their various vocations. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. It's the 10th and final day of the End Bad Governance nationwide protest, and security operatives mount strategic positions at the Abuja city center as protesters wrap up their demonstrations. Vice President Kashim Shettima restated President Bola Tinubu's commitment to supporting and empowering more Nigerian youths to excel in their chosen vocations. Family of the former commandant of the Zamfara State Community Protection Guards, retired Colonel Rabiu Yantondo, expresses concern over his continued detention by the Zamfara police, demand his arraignment in court. And an Israeli airstrike on a school building sheltering displaced Palestinians in Gaza City has killed more than 70 people. Still staying with security issues, the Ogun State Police Command have apprehended and paraded the other 5 members of a 7-kidnapped gang on its wanted list for terrorizing Ogun East Senatorial District. The State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Amutu, said they had been responsible for many kidnap incidents and crimes around the area. 2 members of the gang were arrested in July and confessed to their involvement in the crime, with 5 members of the gang at large when that arrest was made. Following a conclusive investigation, the Commissioner of Police said all suspects being paraded will be charged to court for prosecution.
At about 22:45 hours, one Oladokun Matthew, male, and his wife, one Oladokun Bolanle, together with their 5 children, arrived at their residence at Akondi Street, Awajebu, Ogun State, and 5 armed men attacked them. The armed men robbed them of their valuables and kidnapped his wife, one Oladokun Bolanle, to an unknown destination. The kidnappers later collected ransom, but refused to release the victim. In their usual pattern, the victim was killed and her corpse was dropped in a shallow grave at Awajebu. Her remains has, however, been recovered and released to the family. As it stands, the perpetrators have succeeded in killing 2 persons. One, late Elizabeth Adelaja Adenino, aged 17 years, and late Oladokun Bolanle, female. Presently, we have 8 suspects with us. With the addition of the 2 earlier arrested, altogether we have 10 suspects. And exhibits recovered include 1 blue Techno Camon phone and 3 expended cartridges. Following a conclusive investigation, all suspects being paraded will be charged to court for prosecution.
To other matters now, the Vice President Kashim Shettima has restated the commitment of the current administration to support and empower more young people to excel in their chosen vocations. The Vice President said this when he received the leadership of the All Progressives Congress APC Youth Wing, led by the party's national youth leader, Mr. Dayo Israel. According to a statement signed by his media aide, Mr. Stanley Wacha, the administration's focus on young people is based on the trust and confidence the president has in them. He further expressed confidence in the ability of President Tinubu to address all the concerns raised across different quarters and appealed for more time for the government's plans and programs to begin to manifest. The federal government is also asking the youth to tap into its initiatives in order to contribute to national development. The Minister of State for Youth Development, Mr. Ayodele Olawande, made this known at a meeting on the dilemma of the Nigerian youth in the nation's capital, Abuja. Also speaking at the event, the Deputy Senate President, Senator Baru Jibrin, asked young people to find ways to contribute their quota to national development rather than seeking greener pastures abroad. Our correspondent, Sarah Achimugu, has this report.
This gathering is bringing together men and women from various walks of life to discuss issues of the challenges confronting the Nigerian youth. At the center of the discourse is the grief for migrating abroad among young people and the uncertainties that trail such adventure.
The young people of this country are the formidable young people you can see in every part of the world. We are active. We have the can-do spirit. We are brilliant. We are focused. But are we channeling our energy on solving the solutions we should? That's the question.
The last 10 days has seen some young people lead the agitation for good governance. However, the Deputy Senate President believes the nation's youth can make meaningful contribution to national development.
The National Assembly is committed to enhancing relevant laws that will make Nigeria conducive for our youth, and to remain here to contribute to national development. I assure you that both the legislature and the executive arm of government are working together to create opportunities for our teeming youth to reach the zenith of their potentials in life.
The consensus here is that young people should look inward for roles they can play to ensure a better Nigeria. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, in Gombe State, the Northeast Development Commission has presented starter packs to some youth who have been trained in solar installation, production, and stove fabrication. The training was organized by the Commission to reduce unemployment and youth restiveness, keeping with its mandate of reviving the Northeast region.
Organizers of the Hardship and End Bad Governance protest wrap up their demonstrations this weekend, with most of the violent aftermaths witnessed in the northern part of the country. The Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, is looking to harness the potentials of the youth so they can be more productive. A Train the Trainers initiative is ongoing in Gombe State, empowering 20 youths with different skills with the aim that they too will train others.
The managing director directed us to see how we can engage our youths, because our youths are part of our environment in which we need to make sure that we engage them so that we can avoid youth restiveness. So that's the essence why we are here, to see that we have engaged them and also creating mechanisms in which by we can monitor and also assess the training and also see how possible we can increase this type of intervention system.
Some of the skills being imparted to the selected beneficiaries include solar energy installation and briquette production, to help greater environmental sustainability.
But let me start by commending the Northeast Development Commission for this initiative. You can see what is happening around the country, all the protests that are taking place. Our youths are not really engaged. They don't have anything doing. So this initiative is welcomed and it's timely.
For the trainees, the Northeast Development Commission has given them an opportunity of a lifetime.
We thank them for this project, and then we just proceeding, seeking them to continue doing it. Like us, since we learned this thing, a lot of people just were inspired for them to come to us. We just open the door for them. They will come and learn it, period of charge.
Thank God we have really learned solar design and installation, in which in the solar installations, it's made up of 5 items. And those 5 items, if you learn them, master them, know how to connect them, know how to put them into functions, then you can do something in solar. And really, by God's grace, we have learned those things very well.
As the NEDC continues to roll out massive humanitarian projects to restore the glory of the Northeast sub-region, it believes its partnership with the Gombe state government is yielding positive results.
The Strategy for Mentoring Initiative and Leadership Empowerment, SMILE, has held its Youth Summit for the year 2024 in Lagos. The event, which is set to build leadership, innovative and creative skills in young people utilizing technology, has also been used to commemorate the United Nations International Youth Day.
The Strategy for Mentoring Initiative and Leadership Empowerment SMILE 2024, which took place at the Regal Hall in Lagos, has brought together hundreds of youth, which include leaders and advocates from diverse backgrounds. The summit, organized in collaboration with the United Nations Information Center with Strategic Mentoring Initiative and Leadership Empowerment SMILE, is commemorating the International Youth Day with the theme From Cliques to Progress, Youth Digital Pathways for Sustainable Development.
We set aside this day to celebrate young people, to celebrate the Nigerian youth, because they haven't been celebrated enough. One day is not enough to celebrate them. One day is not enough to showcase all their abilities and their abilities and contributions. And I keep saying this year in, year out, we should stop seeing the youth as a problem. When we think youth, we're thinking of unemployment, we're thinking of issues. We need to change the dynamics and begin to think of them as assets, because we haven't had that orientation. That's why we've not been able to fully draw from what they have to offer us to move us forward.
One of the ideas espoused is the propagation of the teaching of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM.
What if the COVID virus was only in Africa? Do you think other people would have invested millions of dollars in a vaccine that will only work for us? It is upon us as Africans to invest in innovation. We will be left behind even in this age of artificial intelligence if we don't invest. This Youth Day is about investing in young people. Invest in innovation, invest in research, invest in STEM courses, invest in connectivity.
Some of the youth speak on how they've been impacted by the summit.
The key point I've been able to hold is that Africa, the problem in Africa, the solution is not technology. The solution is our mind. When we are able to work on our mind, work on the mind of youths, work on the mind of people, then we have the solution. Because even technology itself, or AI, if you want to focus, if you want to niche it down, AI is born out of the mind of humans. So basically, the solution to Nigeria's problem, or any problem we have in Nigeria, is we ourselves as human and our mind, not technology.
The Youth Leadership Summit is to ignite the passion of young leaders to take charge of their future, lead with purpose, and contribute to a sustainable world.
Still ahead on the news at 10, economic think tank and advisory firm Financial Derivatives Company says it expects Nigeria's headline inflation rate to climb higher to 34.26% in July amid fuel supply chain disruption and continued rise in food prices. That's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. The delay in dispensing cases of gender-based violence is considered one of the factors encouraging its rise. Activists are advocating a special court to try such cases, and the Minister of Women Affairs is considering an alternative dispute resolution mechanism. In this next report, our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, looks at the challenges facing access to justice, obstacles, and the way forward.
Gender-based violence is considered acts that are capable of causing physical, sexual, or psychological harm to people, especially women and girls. Women and girls are in most cases subject of such abuses, and it cuts across every social strata, including culture. This act is considered a violation of human rights. Sadly, these victims rarely get justice,
and if they do, it doesn't come early. According to the Ministry of Women Affairs, the obstacle in accessing courts for gender-based cases include delay in accessing courts because of long distance or poor information, delay in expediting SGBV cases. However, there are laws that ensure the rights of women, such as the VAP Act, which criminalizes every form of violence against women, as well as the Child Rights Act, among others. The Ministry of Women Affairs is advocating special or mobile courts as alternative dispute mechanisms to address gender-based violence.
The law is there to guide us, and they have child right law. Even that child right law is already encompassed in our constitution. It's there in the constitution.
According to the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence. Globally, 7% of women have been sexually assaulted by someone other than a partner. Globally, as many as 38% of murders of women are committed by an intimate partner. In Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs states that Nigeria recorded 27,698 cases of sexual and gender-based violence between 2020 and 2023. These statistics make the case for a special court expedient to ensure victims get justice. However, how will that work?
We call on the National Assembly to track their laws, the implementation of the laws itself. The state government needs to be able to track, make the environment more friendly in terms of how the evidence that you get to prove against rape should not be so gory that the victim will have to suffer because you cannot wash that girl. If you wash the girl or the woman washes herself, then the evidence is gone. They say you don't have any proof.
If someone's life is in danger and the person needs the protection of court, it's not something we should be debating for a year, because within a year, anything could have happened. The person could have even died in the process.
Beyond the call for the dispensation of justice is also the issue of silence. And the National Human Rights Commission is urging victims to speak up.
The challenge is that of culture of silence. First of all, we encourage them to reach out for assistance. The Human Rights Commission is there to assist them. And we have a set of service providers.
Activists maintain that quick dispensation of justice for victims of gender-based violence, as well as stiff penalty for perpetrators of the act, will serve as a lesson for anyone perpetrating such act. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
To health issues now, the Rivers State government is set to reactivate primary healthcare practices aimed at safeguarding the health of school children. This announcement was made by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adeze Ore, following a two-day policy dialogue on children's healthcare and rights. The event held in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, focused on the research that revealed that significant neglect in the health and protection of urban school children affects them. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, has this report.
According to the World Health Organization, the National Child Health Policy, NCHP, in member nations like Nigeria is designed to guide the growth and development of every child in line with global and national goals. A key component of this policy is school health, which ensures the well-being of children aged 5 to 18. However, research by HIRA Health Policy Research Center, University of Nigeria, in collaboration with Chorus Consortium, shows that many school health services have deteriorated. The research prompted this gathering to discuss the social factors affecting the health of school children in urban areas and the implications of the Child Rights Act in Nigeria. Stakeholders from health and education sector came together to make recommendations aimed at improving policies for the health of school children in urban areas. These recommendations, according to them, are intended to drive positive changes, which is the primary goal of this strategic meeting organized by the Rivers State Ministry of Health in partnership with HIRA Health Policy Research Center and Chorus Consortium.
relevant MDAs and stakeholders, and we said that should be done within 1 year. And we are looking at the milestone that the relevant desk established, that the relevant desks, when they are fully established and set up, we can look across and actually see the activities and see what is going on there.
We don't have where we can access them. If we are making policies, it's not accessible. If we are making laws, we don't even know the content. It's a big problem. And I think it's a big win, or it's a big one. We can just agree amongst ourselves as we go back. Whatever we discuss, even these deliberations can be there. That is the action plan of what we are going to do in the next 2 or 3 years. People will know, and I think it will go a long way.
The River State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adeze Ure, confirmed that part of the recommendations, particularly the revival of school health programs, will be implemented immediately in the state.
We will be domesticating the relevant policies that address school-age children's health and well-being in River State. We have national policies. We'll be reviewing and domesticating those policies to suit our context, taking on board the recommendations that have come out of this dialogue. That is one clear action. We'll be working closely with the ministries. For the Ministry of Health, we'll be working closely with our counterparts in the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Women Affairs, the Ministry of Social Welfare and Rehabilitation to carry out initiatives that are directed at improving the lives of school-age children in River State.
The project head researcher, Health Policy Research Group at the University of Nigeria, provided further details on the recommendations, noting that the Protect Urban School Children Health PUSH project will also be extended to rural schools.
What resolution we've reached in this meeting, it's the possibility of tying schools, within primary healthcare facilities, catchment zones, so that we can have one primary healthcare facility attending to schools around it. And then we would have a school health desk office where we would have focal persons in the schools, and then we would have the school health desk office still in the primary healthcare facility, with coordination coming from the State Ministry of Health and as well from the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
With key stakeholders from the education and health sectors involved, the organizers expect the finalized recommendations to be adopted as a working document across state, federal, and private schools. Deborah Abalama, Channels Television News.
The management of the Federal University Wukari, located in the southern part of Taraba State, is soliciting the assistance of the federal government and the Northeast Development Commission in dealing with soil erosion within its school premises. The Vice-Chancellor made the appeal following the discovery of a new technology that predicts erosion and possible solutions by researchers.
The Federal University Wukari, located along the ever-busy Wukari-Katsina-Ala Federal Highway, leading to Benue State in north-central region of Nigeria. The institution is grappling with erosion problems, which is threatening food production and livelihood.
This institution has been battling soil erosion for more than 7 years now, and many efforts has been made by the institution and the community, and no solution.
The soil erosion has been a yearly occurrence ever since I got to know of this institution, and it's eating deep into the school's vicinity, which we are not finding it funny. So we are appealing to the government to do something about it, to intervene in our situation.
This is the rationale behind this gathering, to unveil the outcome of years to create solutions to the environmental problem. The research, led by a professor of soil science at the Federal University Wukari, John Tegwa, reveals that some of the latest innovations guarantee the use of technology to detect, prevent, or control erosion.
When we conserve our soil, we all need to advocate against any activity that erodes our soils, and promote those that sufficiently shields and covers the soil against erosion, and those that can uphold such practices. And we need to uphold such practices and that enriches our soils for the benefit of crop production and sustenance of life.
The Vice-Chancellor of the institution says appeals have been made with optimism to the Northeast Development Commission and the federal government to assist and help prevent a disaster.
What the emphasis is where you will be in the near future if you don't control it. And for purpose of control, we have taken some measures. We have made submission to the Ecological Fund Office in Abuja, and we are hoping that we'll get some money to come and fight soil erosion in this place.
Until a remedy is provided, the school management is concerned that the university community and surrounding areas will continue to live in great fear of what may befall them in the near future.
Cultural and biological engineering and accelerated promotion era and was assessed internally and externally.
Let's find out the latest from the world of business. Laddie Williams is standing by with those details.
Thanks, Melinda. Well, in business, Nigeria's stubbornly rising inflation rate is expected to climb slightly higher to 34.26% in July, and that's according to latest forecast from financial derivatives company. In a statement released today, the economic think tank, an advisory firm, says the latest projection, which would mark the 20th consecutive rise in headline inflation rate, would mean a 0.07 percentage point increase from the 34.19% rate recorded in June. While attributing the sustained rise in inflationary pressure and continued rise in food prices and fuel supply chain disruptions, FDC also projects food inflation to hit 40.93% despite the current harvest season. FDC's forecast, which comes less than a week before the official report from the National Bureau of Statistics, that's on August the 15th, also expects the rate to remain elevated, but might taper in September due to the base effects of 2023 combined with the impact of the stimulus package, such as duty-free waiver on imports. And as a nationwide hardship protest winds down, economic experts have estimated the losses to the overall economy to be in the multi-billions of naira. However, the managing director of NESD, over-the-counter exchange, Mr. Ewaride Longe, says despite the numerous challenges and disruptions caused by the protest, Nigeria remains a fertile destination for investors. I had a conversation with him earlier today at Capital Market.
We must be clear about the path that we're going to take to development. So while we protest, we should also be thinking about really what should the end game be. We shouldn't just be angry. We should be thinking about where should this land. The situation of Nigeria is like a startup company. You're thinking about liquidity. Liquidity is one of our biggest challenges. Long term, you might be very positive. You might come out very strong long term. But you're thinking about liquidity, you're thinking about product mix, you're thinking about routes to market, you're thinking about motivation of your staff. All of these things need to happen, so that you can actually be successful. And that's where Nigeria is currently. I think Nigeria presents a fantastic opportunity for any investor today. There is I would say we're in a twilight zone, and assets are cheap, a lot cheaper than they should be. And everybody is laying their bets in the opposite direction. That's the time when you need to look for bargains.
And West African insurance companies has commended the management of Sanlam and Allianz Insurance on the successful conclusion of their merger and launch in Ghana. Secretary General of WICA, Mr. Davis Yasiri, made this known in a statement on a joint venture, says the initiative is expected to deepen insurance in Africa, particularly in the West African sub-region, adding that the merger would bring added impetus to their operations and lead to a stronger and vibrant insurance company. He expressed confidence that Sanlam Alliance would create significant value for clients, shareholders, and other stakeholders, and the combined expertise and resources of the new company will provide innovative solutions and services to meet the ever-evolving needs of policyholders in Ghana. And the Securities and Exchange Commission is set to unveil its vision for the Nigerian capital market at the second Capital Market Committee meeting scheduled for August the 14th. A statement by the SEC says the Capital Market Regulator's Director General, Mr. Momotinie Agama, would outline the Commission's plans to attract investment, improve market efficiency, and safeguard investor interests. The meeting will bring together capital market stakeholders and fund portfolio managers and will cover the current landscape of the Nigerian capital market, the regulatory framework, and strategies for future growth. It adds that the Commission and other participants will review reports from technical committees and market infrastructures with a particular focus on emerging market trends. The Capital Market Committee is an industry-wide body, including the SEC and other market operators. It serves as a platform for dialogue and collaboration. And let's head straight to the markets now. We see the domestic stock market ended the trading week in the green as investors bargain hunting for shares of MTN Nigeria, Wando, and other key bellwether stocks lifted the market index by 0.83%. At the same time, sectoral performance was largely positive, with gains recorded across 4 out of the 5 key counters of the NGX, with the industrial goods sector the sole loser for the week. However, activity levels remained weak as the total trading volume and value declined by 21% and 6.3% week-on-week accordingly. Wando topped the Guinness list with more than 60% increase on its share price. Champion Breweries led the losers list with a 15.03% decline, while the trio of Access Holdings, Veritas Capital, and UBA were the top 3 most actively traded stocks for the week. And that's it from me. Business is back to Melinda with the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Ladi. The federal government has directed an immediate assessment of Section 3 of the Kano-Maiduguri Road cut off by a recent flood disaster in Bauchi State. A technical team from the Ministry of Works is to evaluate the damage and provide emergency solutions to ease the suffering of the residents. This was contained in a press release by the ministry today, which stated that during a meeting with contractors, the Minister of Works, Mr. David Umahi, stressed the need for timely completion of projects funded by the tax credit scheme and disclosed the termination of Section 1 of the Kano-Maiduguri Road contract with e-contractors due to time expiration, and emphasized the importance of durability in road construction. He also called for greater commitment from all parties involved, highlighting ongoing projects under the tax credit scheme, including works by Dangote, Boa, and Mainstream Energy. He asked for patience from the public, assuring them that the government is focused on delivering quality infrastructure to alleviate their sufferings. Time to cross over to our Abuja studios, where Terry Kumi is standing by with the latest from the world of sports.
The Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has described Nigeria's performance in the Paris Olympics as disappointing. The minister said Nigeria's failure to secure any medal at all is a product of very many things that need immediate attention. He adds that he would ensure that the most appropriate candidates are elected in forthcoming sports federation elections.
From within the ministry, I believe that I have people that this is not their first Olympics, it's not their second, it's not their third, it's not their fourth. I've had people that in the last 24 years perhaps have been coming for Olympics every 4 years. Beyond the ministry, in terms of the leadership, in terms of the federation, in terms of NOC, in terms of, we have plenty people who have been, even if Dangumelu is president. I'm sure he's attended, countless, and the way I feel is that I don't understand how, because I know how just one Olympics, I know how much it has impacted on me, on my thinking, on my imagination that things shouldn't be this way. Olympics is not what you come and disgrace yourself. So if you want to avoid that disgrace, you must work hard to be able to do well in order not to get out disgraced.
In football, Manchester City have won the Community Shield after beating rivals Manchester United in the curtain raiser for the Premier League. Pep Guardiola's team emerged winners 7-6 on penalties after the game ended 1-1 in regulation time. City, for the first time since 2019, are the Community Shield winners. Well, that is on sports news. Back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Terry. On the international scene, an Israeli airstrike on a school building sheltering displaced Palestinians in Gaza City has killed about 70 people. A spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces says the Outer Bean School served as an active Hamas and Islamic Jihad military facility with approximately 20 militants operating there, an allegation Hamas has denied. According to the Health Ministry's ambulance service, more than 60 people were killed and 47 injured, but the Gaza Civil Defense Agency has put the figure at 90. Israel has attacked several such shelters in Gaza in the past few weeks, an act that has been criticized by Western powers. And the main news again. It's the 10th and final day of the End Bad Governance nationwide protest today, and security operatives mounted strategic positions at the Abuja city center as protesters wrapped up their demonstrations. We also told you that the Vice President Kashim Shettima has restated President Bola Tinubu's commitment to support and empower more Nigerian youth. That's the news at 10 tonight. On behalf of the team, good night.